Hello, my name is Alexandra Lordanou. I am a current senior at Meredith College, and today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my background and experience, as well as highlighting some key features of my design portfolio. So to start off with, just a little bit about me. I wanted to start off with my mission statement. So as an analytical interior designer seeking to provide creative and customized design solutions to elevate the lives of my clients, continuously seeking ways to provide guidance that leads to effective designs that meet customers' needs, always prioritizing innovation and ready to learn new concepts in order to provide clients full satisfaction. And how I came about that mission statement for myself, I think it really stems off a lot of my background. I am a second degree student at Meredith, and I started off my career in a financial services firm where I worked for 8 years doing various types of project management. I can highlight that here in my resume, which I just wanted to touch upon briefly. While that was a financial services company, again, working on many different projects in a project management capacity, I really feel like I have, not only through my experience at Meredith, but in some of the design work that I'm now doing, I've really relied upon a lot of this project management skills that I've built, including things such as coming up with project strategies, how do we approach the task at hand, communicating with clients and vendors, coming up with solutions, reporting on different goals that we've met for the month, including some administrative work as well. While in my background, those weren't necessarily related to design per se, a lot of those skills absolutely translate to what I'm doing today, and I continue to rely upon them every day. And more recently, I've been working at a design firm in Cary called Design Work Studio. I've been working there since December of 2020, working on a variety of different projects, whether that be furnishing projects that are both residential and a few commercial, mostly residential though, furnishing projects, renovation work, working on new build, really collaborating with the lead designers there, assisting with some design elements, as well as collaborating with vendors, working with clients, assisting in meetings, building relationships with vendors, communicating with them, resolving any issues that may come up, and working a lot in our resource library to continue to source new products and help keep the office overall organized. So I think I've learned a lot in this experience, and I really have brought through the project management skills I've had in my previous career to some of the work I'm doing now. And I feel like they've really merged themselves together, and it's become a building block of skills over time. And I plan to continue to build upon that as I move forward. So continuing on, I really wanted to just highlight as well some of the key features of my portfolio. I wanted to touch upon a residential project as well as a commercial project for reference. So this is my portfolio website, which I can share more information at the end. But I really wanted to highlight one residential project here. And I'd like to talk about my room adaptation project that I worked on last year. So in this project, we were required to use SketchUp. That was the main software program we were prompted to use. And the concept behind the design was to take a residential room, a floor plan that we received, and readapt it for 3 different members of a particular household. So it was to design for a young teenage girl, a middle-aged man who is dealing with some PTSD, former vet or a veteran, and an older woman with some mobility issues. So we had to take this room and readapt it for 3 different members of this family. So to start with the first room, we started off with Sadie. This is the teenage girl in the family who attends high school. And just for the concept, here's the board related to her work, or to her room. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see just an overhead plan view of the room, and as well as a 3D rendering of the space as it ended up with some of the FFE that I decided to choose. So for this design in particular, I wanted to create a functional space for a teenager with a demanding schoolwork schedule while incorporating a lot of her personal style, used light tones and natural elements to act in accent pieces throughout the room to make it feel light and airy, while also displaying hints of her artistic personality. She is an avid painter and wanted her to feel like her room could provide inspiration for her work. And so you can see that a lot in some of the details. There's actually some wall covering that is an actual watercolor mural, just some of the different textures in the room, and as well as the window treatments, just highlighting a lot of that artistic feel while also making it feel calming was the challenge of this room. And so I think that was accomplished nicely with the use of the color scheme as well as the many textures and artistic elements in the space. So moving down to the next member of the family that we had to readapt this room to was for Jim. Jim is a veteran, a wounded veteran who suffers from PTSD and depression, and wanted to create a work office space for him at home. So the key features that we needed to implement here were making sure this room felt tranquil, calming. And so there was a lot of research that went into how I wanted to recreate this space to touch upon some of those issues and make sure that they were incorporated. So I landed upon deep green tones after a lot of my color psychology research that really helps with relaxation. And it's known to promote slowing of the body, lowering energy in the body, the mind, and also allows for recuperation. So that was really the basis for the design. And then wanting to create some visual interest in the space through other elements, again, keeping with a lot of the natural elements through leathers, through wool in the rug, and just some small highlights of black, just to create a little bit of more visual interest, and just keeping a moody overall setting in the room. Really played along with this concept of creating tranquility in a calming space to get work done. And so that's how I landed upon this design and these design elements throughout this space. And then lastly, moving on, I readapted this room again for Cecilia. She was the grandmother of the family, and again wanted to create a relaxing space that was best suited for a woman with some physical limitations, really incorporating more bold colors in this space. The deep magenta accent colors was really something that in her profile was something that she highlighted as part of her personal style. And also keeping in mind that with some bolder accents throughout the room can also help with visual guidance for someone who might have some visual issues. Creating some more bold colors could actually help with guiding through the room. The fireplace also provides a grounding focal point of the space, also brings warmth for the winter months. It also creates overall a sense of comfort for her and her guest, especially those who she has guests in her profile. She highlights that she has guests that come through that have some arthritis and mobility issues as well. So some of the very soft seating with supported backs and things like that was really important as well to help with not only her mobility issues, but her guests as well. And the space was really going to be utilized as an entertainment space for her guests to come. And so it was important to have optionality for seating because there could be a smaller group, a larger group, and really making sure that the space didn't feel cluttered when it was a smaller group, and some pieces could be moved out of the way, such as the ottomans there, but really making sure that there's enough adequate space for her guests as well was very important for this space as well. And then just seeing some of the FF&E that I included in this space, you can see just again some of these textiles that I included to highlight some of that bold magenta that she liked, some interesting wool patterns on the rug, and then just to calm that, bringing in some of these warmer whites and neutral colors just to create, a bit of contrast to some of those bolder tones. So that was the main residential project I wanted to highlight. In addition to that, I'd also like to highlight a commercial project that I worked on. This was a co-working office space that we designed utilizing Revit as the main software program for this project. So the intent of this project was to utilize our skills in Revit to create an innovative and functional space for professionals to pursue their career objectives in an environment that balances productivity and socialization. We were prompted to choose a location and do a bit of research on that location to make sure that our co-working space worked well with the culture of that location. And I chose to focus my design in London, UK. It's a location with a vibrant social atmosphere. In my research, I found that a lot of professionals in the UK tend to go out more to socialize, whether that be it's kind of a work hard, play hard sort of culture. And so there's a lot of socialization going on in the workplace. And with the world changing and how people work changing a lot, co-working spaces are becoming more prominent there. And so I really wanted to create a place that not only promoted productivity, but also socialization as well. So with that, just highlighting some of the key features of the room, I'm going to highlight just some of my boards here. So to start off with the floor plan, we were given the floor plan, the shell of the space, and really wanted to create somewhat of an open concept. There was some key components that we had to include, including some private office spaces, which you can see along the back wall, some conference spaces, as well as these open seating that people could rent just a single desk on a daily basis. So it was important to keep all of those in mind. Of course, having accessible restrooms as well, and keeping those as a central point to be accessible to any part of the space was very important. And then for those that are using the individual spaces, wanted to have some privacy booths. So these are telephone booth style seating options with privacy doors that you could take a phone call, have a private conversation, have a moment of solitude. And so that's an option for those folks that are using the single desks as well. And then of course, there's a lounge sort of break room area over here with a kitchenette for lunch, for snacks, whatever that might be. Some lounge style seating. If someone's working and doesn't want to necessarily sit at a desk, they've had some more comfortable seating options as well. We have some banquet seating and some floating seating throughout the space. So really creating a lot of optionality for the professionals working in this space. Here you'll just see one elevation of the reception area, just showing some of the skills that I built in using the Revit. I wanted to highlight just some of the elevation offerings that I could provide in Revit. So that's what you're seeing here, as well as a reflected ceiling plan that's also created in the Revit program as well. And just to tie that together, for my concept, the intention of my design was to create a unique and functional co-working space that would provide a place for productivity while exuding relaxation. Through the use of natural materials and a cool color palette, the space presents a calming atmosphere that is representative of its surroundings. The abundance of natural light accents the deep tones of the walls and furnishings to provide a space that will allow a variety of individuals to feel serene while pursuing their professional objectives. And with that concept statement, you can see a little bit more of that. Here, I'll just touch upon this briefly. These were just some inspirational images that I came across in my research. And so that's just to give a backdrop for the concept of the design. But here you'll see some more elevations. These are those private office spaces, just giving you a better idea of the windows, how the desks would be situated. Here's another means of egress, as well as some file and copy center storage area. And then down below, you would have more of the elevation of the dining lounge area. This is giving you a view of the banquet seating, as well as some additional seating to the side, more lounge style seating for conversation. So those are just more elevation pieces to give you an idea of those spaces. And then really to get more into the FF&E and just a better visual of the design itself. Here's just some of the selections for the space in terms of the furnishings and accessories. And then I really wanted to highlight the 3D rendering capabilities in Revit as well. Here you'll see the telephone style booth type seating that I mentioned earlier. I really wanted to, I built a lot of my skills in trying to manipulate the lighting and really highlight how I wanted the lighting features in the space to look. And so I really wanted to create a rendering that would show it not only in a daytime view, but in an evening view. People work at different hours of the day. So I wanted to give another perspective. So this is an evening type perspective, which is why you'll see a little bit of that darker, moody lighting. But here you'll see the 3 telephone booths with the pendant lighting. This is giving you just an idea of the reflected glass that encloses this space, glass doors. And then this would be just some of those floating desks in front. And then to the right, you'll get a 3D view of the small conference room rendered, giving you an idea of really floor to ceiling windows, really bring in as much natural light as possible, knowing that that has a lot of health benefits. Just wanted to highlight there, as well as some additional windows, and then how some of those deeper tones were brought into the space, as well as artwork and the lighting. And then lastly, just a few other perspectives here. This gives you the long hallway view. You can see a lot of those individual desks. Again, those really large windows highlighting that emphasis on natural light. Really wanted to highlight that here. And then just some locker storage, as well as the restroom locations, how they are relative to the other spaces in the location. And then you also get a perspective of the dining area. Here's your banquette seating, as well as some of the floating seating and the kitchenette, where there'd be beverages, areas to store food for employees, things of that nature. And then again, keeping along with the color scheme and the concept that I already talked about, really just bringing in accents of those deep tones through the paint, wall paint, as well as some furnishings, but really creating a nice contrast from those deep tones to bring in some lighter elements, such as these dining tables and some really nice artwork throughout the space as well. So with that, those are my two main projects that I wanted to highlight to you today. I have my link up here for my portfolio website. You can feel free to bring that up. There's a contact tab here where you can enter your information that will directly contact me, or I can bring back up. So please feel free to email me if you have any questions or like to see any more of my work. You can see my email address here. I'd be happy to share any more information that could be helpful, or if you have any interest in any of the projects that are here and have questions, please feel free to reach out. With that, that concludes my presentation. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.